Good morning. Welcome back to another episode of Coffee at Rosevine Cottage. Grab a cup of coffee, get somewhere comfy, and then we're going to dive right in. The Israelites are way into their journey towards the Promised Land. They've faced battles, they've witnessed His provision, and have seen the glory of God come and rest on Mount Sinai in Exodus 24. They've got some experience under their belt, so it's little surprise when God gives the order to move on and enter the Promised Land. And if I'm honest, I picture the scene from the end of the wagon train episodes where the wagon master tells the wagon train to load them up and move them out. Can you tell I watch a lot of Westerns? Just a little. Anyway, this is it. This end is in sight. They're almost there. Like pulling onto your street after a long trip, relief begins to flow. They are almost finished. How sweet must those words have felt. The journey is almost over. But there always seems to be a but, doesn't there? Because the truth is, life isn't easy, and the home stretch is rarely a cakewalk. What lays between them and everything they have been promised is scary. It tests what they've learned along this terrible trip. The Bible doesn't go into great detail about this stretch of the trip, but it describes it as a terrible wilderness. How many of us thought we had it made? And just when we thought it was over, the battle that we thought was finished has found its way back to us, and we weren't expecting it. And so it blindsides us and begins to chip away at everything we thought we knew. The experiences we've earned seems too small, and everything we've been through up to this point pales in comparison. They can see their destination, what they've been fighting for so long, is nearly in their grasp, and maybe in their heads, they thought this was going to be easier. Maybe they're still living off the high of winning that last battle, and they're expecting this place to be easy. But when it's not, their confidence wavers. We've won the last battle. We've seen what God can do, and then suddenly our focus shifts, and what we are so sure of begins to waver. Maybe we aren't even sure what caused it, but something's changed and we can't put our finger on just what it is, but it feels different. We're tired and we just want it to be over. We want to be done and move on. We are sick and tired of trekking through the desert. If the devil can't make you quit along the journey, and he can't make you run back to what God led you out of, then he's going to try to poison the very thing you've waited so long to reach. I think this is where the Israelites found themselves, so close and yet so far away. And they just want to be done. Like after a really long hike and your legs hurt and you're tired, you can see your car and you just want to get there. You don't want to have to fight your way up one more hill. You just want to be done. Here they are traveling through yet another wilderness. They finally reached the threshold of the Promised Land. The Bible says that God had set apart this land for them. It had their name on it. All they had to do was follow him in, but they hesitate. No sooner has the Lord told them to go take possession of what he has given them than the people come to Moses begging to send some men ahead to scout out the land. They want to send some people ahead to find the best route and some nice cities to visit. Deuteronomy 1:22. They're done roughing it. No more off-roading, no more hills to climb, no more wondering if God is going to come through. The pillar of fire they've been following is no longer good enough. They want more. Just like that, the lessons have slipped away. They start to follow what they see instead of trusting the one who has sustained them every step of the way. It's easy to fault them. But I think we often do the same thing. We refuse to move on until we ask everyone's opinion. We need our friends' seal of approval before we go any further. We need the whole agenda, not just the next stop on this trip. We see the giants that stand before us. We set our focus on the walls that have to be brought down before we can go any further, and we doubt that he can do what he's been doing this whole time. Sure, he came through back there, but what about this time? And the age-old question pops back up, why didn't he leave us in bondage? It would have been better than dying out here trying to beat something that we can't beat. Their focus has changed, and they are relying on their own understanding to guide them. Their eyes tell them it's too hard. The scouts' report isn't what they wanted to hear, and doubt creeps in. Have you been there? You were so sure, you thought you were prepared, but then the doubt seeps in with all of the what-ifs and I can'ts to shift our focus from what is promised and crumble our faith. They stopped trusting the Lord to lead the way, that he knew the best route, that he would pick the best place for them to camp each night, so they strike out on their own, and then blame the Lord when they don't like what they hear from the scouts. Where are you, God? What were you thinking? So often we find ourselves in this place because of our own foolishness, and we try to run ahead instead of trusting the Lord, trusting him to provide again and again and again when he's already done so. We come to verse 30 and find Moses trying to reassure the people and remind them of who God had revealed himself to be over and over, of all the times he's provided, but it's all in vain. Anytime we place people in a role only God can fill, we are setting ourselves up for defeat. We can't survive off of the faith of others. We can't trust our own eyes to guide us. What started out as simple, here it is, go move in, has come to an absolute screeching halt. And not even the reminder of everything that they have gone through can get it moving again. How often do we react like the Israelites off of what we see instead of trusting that he will make a way? We don't want to dive into the deep end. We want to dip our toe in first and check to see if the water is to our liking. And we look back to see how it compares to our life before when we were still in bondage. We allow our focus to slip from the firm foundation that we've been building with each time we've witnessed the Lord coming through and shifting what we thought was impossible. And our focus gets set on the shifting sand instead, and we need the whole path instead of just the next step. We want to do a little sightseeing, maybe make a reservation or two so that we don't have to camp out anymore. The pillars of cloud and fire just aren't good enough now. If he can make the Israelites win the battle because Moses is holding his staff over his head, why is it so different here? If he can provide over and over again, what makes us think that he will fail this time? That he won't come through now? Look at the calluses that you've earned. The battle scars that mark us, that we've survived. Feel the salt water clinging to your skin as you walk through the parted sea on dry ground, and remember, look back and see all of the places that he's come through, and then recenter your focus on him. It doesn't matter what people think. It doesn't matter how tall the walls are. It doesn't even matter how hard this leg of the journey is, because he's already promised to go in before you. And he is bigger than anything that you could possibly face. And not one thing is going to touch you that hasn't already come through his hand. Thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate it. You guys have no idea how much it means to us. Take a moment, like the video, share it with your friends, hit the little bell icon, and we're going to see you again next week.